Hello all, LSR here and welcome back to the Sapphire Stacks. Today's video takes us back to the era of the Xbox 360 and to some of my first and favorite Western style RPGs. In November 2011 I went to my cousin's house and he showed me the brand new game, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. In it, I made a Khajiit and I played for a couple hours and every second of it felt like a movie. From the get-go, I felt immersed in a fantasy world that I had always wanted to be in. By the time I left, a couple hours felt like a couple seconds and I knew I needed more. The next month, I was fortunate enough to get Skyrim for Christmas and it was my obsession for months. After that though, I didn't stop there. I had to get more Elder Scrolls. My next natural step was the other Elder Scrolls game on the console, The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. While the graphics and character models were a big step back, the setting and intro to the game had me hooked. This entry begins with you in the center of the Empire, being present for the Emperor's assassination. The territory of Cyrodiil was distinctly different, but the guilds, skill systems, and quest system were immediately familiar. While many my age wouldn't have dreamed about going back and playing older games with more dated styles like Oblivion, I never really had this problem. I've always been interested in older games, and while seeing the latest and greatest graphics is always cool, there's always something charming to me about outdated graphics. Early to mid 3D era graphics have aged notoriously poorly, and Oblivion was the epitome of this. As fans, we were served incredibly well in receiving a remaster, and thus this is where the video's footage came from. The remaster certainly has its own issues though, and more on that later. After leaving the Imperial City sewers, keeping in mind that the main story of Skyrim 2 wasn't a particularly high point, I went right for the Imperial City and saw what I could see. I still think to this day that the Imperial City is a much more interesting, memorable, and large location than any of Skyrim's city locations. Of course, you could easily chalk that up to a lore reason, but I want to give the developers their due. They seem to realize that as the capital of the entire empire in the Elder Scrolls universe, the Imperial City needs to be a large, towering, and impressive city. I think they largely succeeded. The city has a character of its own with many different groups of citizens. There's the merchants, the guard, the Imperial Council, the Mages Guild, etc. And this pulled me into the game pretty quickly. Even just messing around and hitting someone randomly or stealing something from a store quickly indoctrinates you into the weirdness and fun quality of the game. The weird camera pans and the wacky characters and voices endear me to the game like no other. While I think Skyrim is no doubt the better game and a better package objectively, Oblivion will always be my favorite in the series, despite its many flaws. To begin, I think the overall performance of Oblivion has never been its strong suit. This is a game with hundreds of quests and locations, and sometimes the loading screens and teleporting around can grow quite cumbersome. Couple that with any stuttering or frame rate issues, which are present on nearly every SKU of the game, Oblivion can sometimes become a frustrating experience. If you continue on past these issues, most players will eventually run into a broken or glitched quest, as has happened to me nearly every single playthrough. With hundreds of quests, NPCs, and objectives, it's usually a matter of time when one of these things breaks and the quest is no longer completable. Another aspect of this game is its level scaling. Just like Final Fantasy VIII, enemies in this game level up with you, which can often wreak havoc on the balancing of the game. While initially this does sound like a good thing and that enemies will continue to provide a fun challenge, sometimes it takes away from the meta-narrative of the game and the power fantasy it can present. While it's not hard to crush the arena at an early level in the game, sometimes after becoming the head of every guild and being around level 30, the same arena can be extremely difficult. To top it all off, Oblivion had a, let's say, interesting voice acting situation. You start the game hearing Sir Patrick Stewart voicing Emperor Uriel Septim, and continue the main story with his son, the essential character Martin Septim, voiced by Sean Bean. From time to time, you can also hear Linda Carter as certain NPCs. However, aside from that, there's a cast of 14 to 15 voice actors portraying 855 unique characters, plus another 91 from its expansion, The Shivering Isles. When you play the game, you can understand this situation pretty quickly. It won't be long at all before you hear a voice repeated. This is absolutely a flaw, but again, deserved or not, I couldn't help but find it charming. What made things really ironic is the quality of the remaster we received. Following the remaster's creation was extremely interesting. It started as a rumor and eventually snowballed into a full-blown leak, and not long after we got the shadow drop. It was extremely exciting, and as a longtime fan, it was definitely a dream come true. What we ended up getting was an interesting curl of a monkey's paw. While the game looks truly remastered and it looks a lot better, a lot of the problems remained or even multiplied. The game is a rough Unreal Engine 5 creation, and it still suffers from stuttering and frame dips in the open world. There's even a memory leak that makes the game slow down the longer you play it. With so many flaws and immersion-breaking elements adding up, you'd think gaming fans would be fed up and annoyed. And while many were, myself and other fans, again couldn't help but be obsessed with the game despite these flaws. I think it speaks to the uniqueness and quality of the writing and quest lines that so many still enjoy the game. Where I truly get immersed in Oblivion, however, is with its guild quest structure. There are 5 main guilds or quest lines alongside the main quest line: the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, and the Arena. There are some other minor ones too, but these 5 by far have the most thought out designs. The first group that drew me in was the Arena. A guild of sorts that was absent in Skyrim, the Arena had a straightforward combat-heavy arc that ended up narratively winning me over. When you initially walk in and sign up to be a combatant, Owen calls you a pit dog and treats you like utter crap. You suffer constant insults and put-downs for at least the first half of the storyline. Over time, however, Owen begins to respect you. There are matches where you return to him alive, and even a hardened master such as himself recognizes your skill. By the end of the questline, Owen recognizes your skill and becomes an upbeat, proud coach of the Arena Grand Champion. From there, I tackled the Fighters Guild. This guild, with having the Companions as its Skyrim counterpart, blows its successor out of the water. The storyline involves a rival mercenary group operating out of the swamps of Leowyn, and as you progress, you investigate more and more how and why they are becoming more of a threat to the Fighters Guild. In the back half of the questline, Modern Orion is a notable character who steps up and recognizes the player's growth, and in the end, you end up being able to help him. The Mages Guild is another great guild in Oblivion with a pretty epic storyline. You end up coming face to face with Mannimarco, a character who debuts as the major villain of Daggerfall and also features prominently in the Elder Scrolls Online. While I think overall the characters and quests of this guild are the least impactful, the scope of the story is interesting and the setting of the Imperial University only adds to the character of the Imperial City. Also, it has to be mentioned that magic can be abused the most in this game, and creating your own spells can lead to an extremely overpowered build. Next up is the Dark Brotherhood. Again, outdoing Skyrim's counterpart, the Oblivion Dark Brotherhood sets up an amazing cast of characters in its guild, until you are made to kill them all in a grand massacre. After some time, you and your mentor, Lucian LeChance, must investigate a possible spy within the guild and deal with an existential threat to the Order. The entire questline is filled with super interesting assassinations. One notable one is the quest Who Done It, where you, the player, take the role of a clue game where you are the murderer. You sneak around a mansion dinner party, talking and manipulating the other guests until all of them are dead. While you could just butcher them all at once, Oblivion puts loads of work into giving you many different options to isolate or instigate conflict within the group. The Dark Brotherhood is interesting in that you are only invited to join once you've killed an innocent person within the game. While yes, players who stick to good or lawful decisions might miss these quests, the entire premise of the guild is based upon your decision to do evil and the inherent guilt and thrill involved. The Dark Brotherhood is a prime example of how to let players make evil and morally wrong choices in a game but have fun doing it. The world reacts around you, making you feel the weight and consequence of your decisions, but there is an amazing fun and tension setup that always makes it a thrilling experience. Continuing on with this thought is, in my opinion, the best guild in Oblivion and possibly the entire series, the Thieves Guild. Like the Dark Brotherhood, your entry into the guild isn't as simple as signing up. Only after spending some time in jail does the Thieves Guild seek you out and offer you a chance to join. This chance takes the form of a thieving competition where you race 2 other prospects in stealing something in the Imperial City. From there, the questline weaves in independent thieving and specific contracts around Cyrodiil. Elder Scrolls 4 and 5, in my opinion, have underrated stealth systems that let the Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild quests shine. I think it never shines brighter than the conclusion to this game's Thieves Guild questline. where you sneak around the Moth Priests at their refuge and then eventually steal an Elder Scroll from the Imperial Library. This quest is long and grueling, and there's loads of setup, and loads that could go wrong. But when you escape the library with the titular Elder Scroll in hand, nothing feels better. Oblivion showcases what the Elder Scrolls does best. It introduces you to a large and nuanced world with lots of insightful world building, yet it lets you take control and take part in extremely important and consequential events in the world. While the Elder Scrolls 6 may be a product of the 2030s, I hope Bethesda takes their time to get back to their roots and capture me the same way they did with Oblivion. This channel will continue to cover video game content and discussions, so please take part and let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out any of my other socials to chat with me or see whatever random crap I may be up to, and feel free to leave suggestions on any other video game topics that you'd like to see covered. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'm out.